Okay, well, thanks for joining us for our Productive Aging podcast. Today we have a really special guest, Justine Martinez of Justine Martinez Design. And so I actually met Justine. I posted on our Facebook group, Utah Agent. Hey, I need a stager, and I was given her name, referred by a couple people, and man, what a hero she was on the job we did. I mean, we had a house that it was a nice home, just had a little bit of a weird layout in the beginning, and but man, her team came in and did an amazing job. And then we've actually become, what I call business friends, right? We have friends, and then we have business friends, and Justine and I have become business friends. And so we're going to have a conversation today talking about staging and designing, that kind of stuff. So without further ado, here is Justine Martinez. Say hi.
Hi guys. Thanks for having me on, Rob. I really appreciate it. Pretty excited about meeting with you today.
No, no, my absolute pleasure. So you're the guest of honor. And so Justine, tell us more about yourself. Like how long have you been in staging and design type of work?
So my journey with design pretty much started since I was little. I've always been really interested in it. I would tell my friends how to redecorate their bedrooms and, just things like that. And it really evolved, probably I would say my early 30s, because I decided, well, I didn't decide, but I really got into kind of the real estate aspect of things. I wanted to learn more about remodels, flips, staging, that sort of thing. I got my real estate license, and then that was really for the purpose of, marketing myself as a stager, designer, remodeler, flipper, things like that. I learned early on that I needed to enter into the real estate business to get to know the real estate people, to
Right.
get me in connection with like the staging sort of aspect of things.
Sure.
And, you got to know the people for them to trust you and build reputations that way type of thing.
Yeah, it certainly gives you a leg up when you're in the space.
Yeah, definitely. It does. And then you get to know just everyone, you know what I
Sure.
mean? So I got my real estate license around 32, 33 years old. And from there, and I do that as well. And then from there, I started building staging and design business from there, going to different marketing meetings and, just getting myself out there,
Sure.
uh, meeting different people and kind of, just doing that sort of aspect of things. Um, it was two of my different brokers that had pushed me forward. They're like, you really have a talent. You need to move forward with this. And so they kind of gave me the push forward
Right.
into the side of things. And from there, it just flourished. So I started staging small with just, accessories. And then I started building um, my reputation and my clientele and my inventory, basically.
Right.
I like to think of myself as keeping up with the times, the styles. I match the home itself to the style of furniture that I put in there because,
Right.
each layout is different. Like, for example, you said your layout, it kind of was longer and skinnier. So it needed to have a different layout design than just a traditional home.
Right. Yeah, because that home had been added on. The original home was like, it was a tiny little house
Hmm.
with a stairwell going up. I mean, it was tiny, like literally like a 600 square foot footprint.
Wow.
And you wouldn't know that. Like that living space was
No.
not part of the original.
Wow. That's
So it
crazy.
was that kitchen dining family room toward the very front. That was like the original house with a little basement. That was it.
Wow. Yeah, because I remember that master wrapped around towards the back and then it had a large patio.
Right,
That was to the side of that, of all of that lighting, the natural lighting. And I
right.
believe there were like the skylights and everything in there too.
Yep. Bathroom
Definitely.
had a skylight. The living space had a big vault ceiling,
Hmm. Yeah, it was a gorgeous house.
It turned out beautiful, you know. It
That's
really
awesome.
did.
We
So,
loved it.
so, you know, I mean, I'd never really done a lot of staging, and you hear a lot about staging. And
Hmm.
after my experience with you, I mean, I'm sold. You know, now I've seen some staging, and it's like, yeah, it's okay. You know what I mean? But you have convinced me that if they're the right talented person, they're invaluable. Invaluable. Like
Oh
it
my
didn't
gosh,
cost
that's
us money because you netted us so much more money that the idea it's like nowhere near cost us money.
yeah.
I mean, seriously, I mean, I ask that question all the time. I'll say, how much does a good CPA cost? And you go around the room and you get all kinds of answers. And I'm like, wrong. It costs zero. If a CPA is not saving you multiples of their fee, then you need to fire them.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same thing. And so staging net us so much more money. I believe that. I mean, we would have sold the house for a pretty good penny, but I think staging got us a lot more. So,
It it's definitely the smart way to go. If you want to sell your house faster, if
right,
you want to have someone come in and truly look at your space and tell you what pieces need to go where.
right.
Each home is individual and different in its own way, and it
Sure.
really needs to be paid attention to. You can't just go in and throw
Just
stuff
slap
in
anything down.
while it's staging.
No.
Yeah, it really is a talent that needs to be developed over time, and each house requires its own set of furniture and decor and
Because it
color
takes on a
palette.
persona, it takes on
Yeah,
like a personality.
that's literally the object of staging and the intent of staging, to go in and sometimes some girls from my crew will be like, well, let's put this picture over here on this wall, and I'm like, well, the camera is going the photographer is going to come in and he's going to take the picture from this direction, so is
Right.
that going to work best for and then from there we just develop different ways of doing things. And there, I have really quick learners on my team. They're
Right.
wonderful.
Well, and the fact that you just mentioned that the way the photographer is going to take a picture, it's like,
Right.
I would have never considered that idea. You know what I mean? I mean,
I
I'm a
think it's
guy.
just having an in like attention to detail.
Right. No, and that's big. I mean, I mean, that's why you hire a professional like you, because, the average person would never consider the angle that the photographer's coming in, as far as placing furniture and such.
Right.
And so obviously you have all your own, you called it inventory. So you have all your furniture. And so you have like, I'm assuming you have a myriad of different styles sitting somewhere, So if somebody has this type of home, you're like, oh yeah, we got furniture for that.
We do, yes. I love gathering different types of furniture. Obviously,
Right.
pretty much any woman can agree we love shopping and
Yeah,
decorating.
sure. I
So
like shopping as long as I can click and it shows up at my door.
right. It is really one-stop shopping with me anyway.
Sure.
So you can call me and I don't usually have to meet at the home. I pride myself on being really detail oriented. I can get most of the information that I need from a text message or a quick phone call with the agent
Right.
or home seller. And they send me pictures or a video walkthrough. And from
Right.
there, I the layout and my team goes in. I have movers. It's really pretty quick. It goes
Right.
by pretty fast. Under 3 hours is usually what it takes for us to do our entire job start to finish. And
And that's on a
that
vacant. That's what vacant homes. I mean, do you go with other? I mean, what if it's not vacant? Then what? I mean, and there's
I
furniture in there. I mean, you just like, because sometimes you're like, man, if you got all this crap out of here, the house would look nice, you know? You know,
yeah, I
what do you
do
do
a
then, you know?
I do a lot less accessory stages than I used to.
I see.
I've kind of just more honed in on vacant properties now.
Right. And so if they're willing to move out, then it'll work, right?
Yeah, or move to their basement.
Right.
It really shouldn't take that long, a couple of weeks, a week to 2 weeks. The homes that I stage, the agents almost every time call me and say, "Hey, we're already under contract." Like, within a
Right.
matter of days to a
Right.
couple of weeks. Obviously, with the market the way it has been, some things, if they're in the higher price range, can take a little bit longer to sell, but we see that across the board. But I definitely have pretty good turnaround time.
Right. And it still has to be priced right. In other words, staging's
Exactly.
not going to get you more than it's worth. It's just
Right.
going to get you to the top of what it's worth.
Yes, because buyers can go in there and they completely 100% visualize their family living there.
And what I like the work that I liked that you did was, like if you go into model homes that builders build, and it's
Hmm.
like, it's so much. It's like,
Yeah.
just get rid of half of this stuff. They got all this furniture in there and they got everything. I mean, everything is staged. And it's like, you need a little, it's like, leave a little to the imagination, just like do it right. Sometimes less is more,
Right.
and,
I
and
also
I
think it
think you,
creates the space.
and I think you nailed that, at least on the job you and I did together, that you really nailed like the appropriate amounts of stuff to really, really make it like pop. It just, because I seen the house, well, I had seen it when they were living there and they had, when they were fixing things up, they were half moved out, stuff was just scattered everywhere in piles and stuff like that.
Right.
Then when they emptied it out, I'm like, okay. And then when you came in, it was just like, for me, it was twice night and day, right? They had all this stuff in there and then it empty. It was like a whole different house. And then when you went through,
Yeah.
it was a whole different house again. I think
Yeah,
you
that
did some work for one of my other gang too. I forget. I'm sure you have. I mean, I've given your name out many, many times.
yeah, I've had quite a
So,
bit of calls come from you.
well, I'm glad to hear that. So, and
Thank you.
and I don't refer people unless I feel really, really comfortable.
Oh, that's so sweet, Rob. Thank you so much.
Well, and I mean, your reputation lives on that. And we worked too hard to get our reputation. I mean, you've worked hard to get your reputation. I think it's Ben Franklin had a quote that says, and it's kind of like bad news travels around the world faster than good news has a chance to get its pants on in the morning. You know,
It's
what
true.
a great quote. And so
Yeah.
too, you can work hard and hard and hard. And if you start referring out people that are not very good, I mean, you start to lose your reputation and integrity. So
Right. I definitely agree with, if you're going to do something, do it right and do it with your whole heart.
yeah,
And
exactly.
if you go to that house and you feel like something's off, which has happened once or twice with me, usually I'm pretty good about taking a few extra things with just in
Right.
case, you know.
Yeah, you never know. Like
If
we had
I
that
feel
foyer, and I think you put a little table in there.
Yeah.
It wasn't
If I
part of the bid, but it was like it just happened. It's one of those little things where, you
Yeah.
just do it, it's like, and it's funny, because you know it just a little extra touch like that makes a difference. I grew up in the house painting business, and my father was always like, we'd paint the house, and he'd have me like raking things and sweeping things up. It had nothing to do with our paint job.
Right.
He said, but when you raked all the leaves out of the bushes in the front of the house and stuff like that and kind of dressed it up, it made your paint job look that much nicer.
Oh my gosh. Curb appeal you learned
Yeah.
at such a young age. That's
And,
awesome.
being the youngest of the family, it didn't cost him anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought my name was Steppin' Fetz till I went in the army.
But what you learned was invaluable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. those are little things that I learned, yeah, over the years that,
Right.
stuck with me and it carried through to no matter what I did,
Yes,
so, I was a house painter, I've chaired nonprofit organizations, and those little things matter, real estate agent slash broker, mortgage business. I mean, coach, CE instructor, I mean, everything. I just carry that all the way through everything I do.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, it's those tiny lessons and things that we learn along the way that we really take with us. We don't
Right.
understand them at the time, but they
And
definitely,
the little things, the little tweaks make a difference, right? There's a video
yeah.
on YouTube. It's called 212 Degrees. I don't know if you've ever seen it. And so what it talks about is, the difference between like, at 211 degrees, water's hot. But at 212 degrees, it boils and creates steam. See, the
Hmm.
difference between hot water and steam is, 1 degree, but with steam, you can move a locomotive.
Right. Yeah.
With hot water, you can't. And they were saying like the difference between the Indy 500 race was like first place was like, $1.3 million. Second place was like literally like a half a second behind, you know,
Hmm.
and he made 650,000. The difference between a half a second was $650,000 in payday.
Right.
And then like an Olympic race, the difference between gold medal and not even placing was like, less than a second. So it's
Hmm.
just that little tiny tweak.
Yep.
And I think
It's
you
all
have
about the
that.
details.
You bring that into your world, if you will.
Well, I definitely appreciate you saying I really pride myself on, giving the extra little nudge
Right.
that I need.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Excuse me. And I've always have too. So, I mean, I guess, what am I looking for here? It's like, tell, like, are there any stats you can go over? I mean, like, we intuitively know, but I mean, obviously stats, because there's a couple people that are going to listen to this. There are a couple types, right? Those that
Right.
just, they get it. They just intuitively they get it in their mind and their heart. And then there's the guys that say, yeah, but I need stats and charts.
Yeah,
What
that's
kind of
true.
stats do you might have? I don't know if you have any.
I have a few. So these come from the NAR, so National Association of Realtors, from
Okay.
21. It says 82% of buyers agents said staging a home made it easier for a buyer to visualize the property as a future home.
Oh,
I
wow.
definitely believe that.
82%. That's a big number. That's
Yeah,
nothing to sneeze at.
right. I mean, it's all about like making the agent's job easier as well, right? So
Right.
we want them to walk through the home with their clients and choose a home to write an offer on and then get to the closing table and everyone has a
Right.
dream, you know.
Yeah, because
And
for the
that's
buyer, it's all emotion.
right, exactly. And they're very visual. I feel like buyers
Right.
are visual. So when they walk into a home, it's smells and appearances and things
Right.
like that that call them in. So sometimes I'll even tell the sellers, hey, go to the store, get Glade plugins in clean linen,
Right.
fresh laundry smell and pop those in. And I mean, it's such small things that make such huge differences.
Yeah, I'm
And
more like, let's get cleaners in here and scrub this place.
yeah,
you know,
well, definitely that's part of the deal. Yeah.
Nothing smells better than clean.
Right. That just gives the extra little push.
Sure.
So when an agent opens the front door, right, you want the buyer to walk in and go, oh my gosh,
Right.
instantly make a connection, an emotional connection to the home and say, I can really see my kids playing in this front yard. I can see myself cooking dinner in
Right.
this kitchen. Everything's
I can
fresh,
see
everything's
myself entertaining.
pretty. Exactly. My
Right.
family fits here because the furniture is, laid out in this certain way and everybody fits. My 10 family members can fit in this front room the way
Right.
it's in here. But sometimes people have tons of stuff in there. And so, just like what you said, less is more. Sometimes you want to have exactly what the home can
Right.
handle, still have plenty of walkway space and have it
Right.
not be
Yeah, it's
cluttered.
got a flow,
Be
and I'm
exact.
all about flow, like, you
Yeah,
know,
me
I
too.
don't know, they call feng shui, I guess, I mean, because if you can't flow, walk through
Yeah,
with a good flow, well, guess
right.
what? Energy can't flow either.
Exactly.
So,
You're right.
and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, you need to be able to create that cozy feeling and the family oriented or just, basically any
Or whatever
kind
the type space, yeah.
whatever type space. Yeah,
Right,
and you also have to look at the rest of the house. Like, is there
right, right,
space,
right,
an office or a gym or whatever, and then you kind
right.
of customize it to that.
Yeah, is it a family home, an entertainer's home, whatever.
Hmm.
Some homes are just, they're entertaining homes. You know,
Right,
they get
exactly.
that big open
Those too,
space,
right?
with the swimming pool that opens out to a pool, that's an entertainer's home.
Definitely. And then you need a day bed and certain things like that out there
Right,
so you can lounge around.
right. And I like to, one of the things I thought, I'm like, you had that, there faux TVs on the wall. I'm like, oh, that
Oh
was so
yeah,
cool. I'm like, oh,
I
that's
have
cool.
those as well. I have
Yeah,
those.
yeah. And I'm like, that's
those
cool.
those fake TVs are expensive for
Are they really?
they're fancy pieces of plastic. And who am I going to sell them to when I'm done using them, right?
Right.
Nobody.
Well, and they can't, I was gonna say maybe go out and get old, broken, used ones, but then that's too much to hang.
Yeah, they're too heavy. These ones are really nice. I actually love them. The
Yeah, they're
sides,
little plastic. They're real light.
yeah, they're really light, but they make a big difference.
Well, and that's how people use the space.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, when I'm in the living room, I'm like, where my TV goes here.
Right.
When
Yeah,
I
you just
see one
kind of
there, makes
encompass
sense.
the whole room, and this is how you can set it up to
Right,
have to make the most out of your home.
right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's awesome. So, so typically, what does something like that cost? I mean,
So my most common package varies from 1500 to 1650.
okay,
Um, it kind of fluctuates through the seasons, just depending on where we are and where inflation is and that type of thing. But for the most part, we're right in that sweet spot range.
okay.
Um,
And
that
what does that
includes
get you?
it gets you the main living room
Okay,
or front room, the kitchen, the dining room, the master bedroom, and
okay,
all the bathrooms in the home.
and all the bathrooms, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so the main living space, the kitchen,
Hmm.
dining, and master,
And
uh,
all of them.
and all the bathrooms, right?
And if there's an entryway, I throw that in as well because
Yeah,
it's part of, you can't
it's
go
part
through
of the
the
main space,
forget
right?
about entryway. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you bid a job and you're like, all you have is one little table and a flower to go there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, you
Right.
just do it,
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah, well, and nobody likes to do business with people that are like, oh, I didn't bid this entry. I'm going to charge you extra for this little table. It's like, no, get out of my face.
Yeah, I try to be really upfront from the very
Right.
beginning and be, I value integrity and all that stuff. So
Sure.
I definitely love to go in strong and, this is where you are. And if you want to add on these other rooms, we can definitely do that. But
Sure.
I'll always tell them this is what I think you should focus on. And
Right.
if you feel that you need to add on these other rooms, and sometimes they do, but most of the time they're like, well, let's just go with what you said. And I
Yeah, the
never,
kitchen, the living, and the master suite. I mean, and the dining. I mean, that's it. Those are the money spaces.
that's the core group.
Yeah, when you walk into, when you're looking at a house, as long as the master suite is nice, the living and the kitchen, and then the kids' rooms are like small. They're like, yeah, whatever.
Mhm.
When they get a job,
Yeah,
they get a bigger room.
exactly.
That's how I
Sometimes
treated my kids.
sometimes if there's like those ramblers that have you first walk in, there's an entryway and then there's like an office right there
Right,
or a smaller front room, I'll usually be like, you maybe should think about adding this additional space because it's
right,
right there in space.
right. It's part of that first
Yeah,
impression as you walk in the door.
exactly. And it's a little awkward if the rest of the rooms are
It's
staged on
vacant.
the
Yeah.
middle and that's just blank.
Yeah, I mean, you can even just throw like a chair, a reading chair, and have a guitar sitting in the corner or something like that in a room like that. They look good. or a desk, make it look like a small office.
Yeah.
So, well, that's awesome. And so, so the 15 to 1650, that like, that's everything, right?
Yes, that's the whole package.
Okay.
Um, let's see what else.
That's
And
a
then
consult. So you go and look at the place, or if they send you photos, you can pretty much do it, right?
yes, sometimes they want me to go meet,
Right.
there, and whatever makes the agent feel safest. If it's our first time working together, they
Sure.
usually meet there. But the
Right.
people that known me and worked with me, excuse me, a lot and often my clientele, they're usually like, hey, here's a walkthrough video, and then they'll point out like specific things,
Right.
if sometimes there's a big hole, like they removed an anchor and so they want a picture there to cover it up, just different specific things that would work better or
Right.
differently in space, they'll point out. But for the most part, the people that have worked with me before just send me a video or pictures, and
Right.
they make sure that they're taken care of.
Well, and unless it's a really unique space, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, once you're in the industry for a long time, it's like, okay, it's a tri-level built between here and there.
Right.
We know exactly what it looks like. Just
Yeah.
walk me through it to double check. You know the layout in your head.
Sometimes they'll send me pictures, and if I'm feeling a little
Not sure. Yeah.
yeah, a little unsure about the space, I'll be like, hey, can I pop over for 10 minutes and look at it in person?
Right.
So I always have their best interest in mind,
Sure. Sure. Yeah. No, and I've been around the industry long enough to where, unless like I said, unless it's unique,
Hmm.
I know what it looks like.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a
Yeah. I mean,
1972
it's not
split entry.
that many different houses. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know what a 1972 split entry looks like,
Yeah.
you know,
Definitely.
I know
Yeah.
what, a two-story, I know what they look like, you walk,
Right.
you got the little rectangle living room, a lot of times you got,
Yeah.
like you said, the little office to the side, you go a little further back, and there's the kitchen, great room area, I mean, you've been there, done that. So,
Right. Yeah.
wow, that's pretty awesome. Let me ask you, is there anything I'm not asking?
Um, I think you're doing a great job. I mean, we've covered most of it, the majority of it.
Right. So, so do you have are there any stats? I mean, I'm not saying if you have, but are there stats out there that say, a staged home like nets more money? I mean, is there like, I mean, I would imagine that's really hard to pinpoint down because you'd have to have two identical houses, one stage, one not, and which one
Mhm.
netted more money. I mean, they're really hard to compare that. So I don't know if the one where, but 80 something percent could see, visualize the house better. That's an easier stat to pick up.
Yeah. Um, let's see. They're kind of just generalized stats.
Right,
47% buyers agents cited that home staging had an effect on most buyers' views. Staging the living room was found to be obviously the most important.
right.
Kitchen,
It's the
dining,
first thing you say, right?
yeah, things like that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm definitely sold. I mean, I think if it's especially a vacant home,
Hmm.
if you have a home, because a lot of times you get a seller that's moved, if they can buy the next house without selling the first one, the best thing they can do is move out, get it cleaned up, get it, painted wherever it needs to be, and get it staged and really net more money.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
all about visualizing, and you
sure,
just put your best foot forward. We all want to put our best foot forward, right?
right,
And so that is really the best thing for any seller, anyone that's thinking of selling, move out, get a fresh coat of paint on the walls.
right, if it needs it, right. Yeah,
Yeah, have the home deep cleaned, and then
right.
hire a staging
Have
company.
carpets clean. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you paint and clean the carpets and have a deep clean, I
Oh,
mean,
it's a whole different house.
yeah, yeah. So a lot of times sellers get the house ready and they're like, "Well, hell, this house isn't all that bad. Why are we moving?"
Right.
It was like it was our crap that made it look bad.
Yeah. And I've sent before and afters of past projects, and that's
Sure.
usually all I pretty much need to do to
Right.
secure the project.
Right. So you have a website that people can view that stuff?
I do. I have a Facebook, an Instagram, and a website. Anyone can find me on those three things. I feel like that, and then just discussing the project with me gives you a pretty good judge of character, and
Right,
also, you can see pretty much my style, and
sure,
I feel that you can tell if we're going to be a good match just
right,
by those things.
right. And then, so if someone wanted to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
So my phone number is 801-548-6860, and my
Okay,
website is www.justinemartinezdesign.com.
so
And
JustineMartinezDesign.com.
yes,
Okay, and then if they search those on Facebook or Instagram, they'd find you.
yes, definitely. So Instagram is Justine_Designs,
Okay,
and Facebook is Justine Martinez Design.
got it. Do you have the links on your site too?
I will put them on there. Yes.
You got to go back to Facebook and yeah. Why
Oh,
not?
definitely. Yeah. On my sites, I have links to all of those,
Right.
and phone numbers. My phone number's all over the place
Sure.
and everything.
Sweet. Well, this is awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. So, and that's the thing, guys, if you have a vacant home and you want to really net your seller more money and get it sold quicker, I mean, what agent doesn't want to increase the price because you get paid a percentage, right? So if you're getting paid a percentage, well, let's get the base price higher. And what about quicker?
Right.
I mean, oh my gosh, who doesn't want to sell the house for more money?
Right.
Fast and a quicker amount of time. As agents, duh.
Yeah.
So you want to do that. So so you really want to just call Justine, have her come in and, make your life easier. And then what happens is, you as the agent, so, I learned
You're
a
like
thing from,
superstar because you brought me in.
right. Well, and then I learned from a couple of podcasts ago from our guest, Ali Garbera. So she does personal branding. And so she turned me on to this thing. It's about story branding. So you're trying to build a brand, but you're trying to tell a story, but rather than being the hero of the story, you make the other person the hero. So you come in, you make the agent the hero.
Yes. And I love that I work with. I love the agents that I haven't even met yet, but I definitely love working and building a strong with the ones that I do work with currently.
Right, great. I mean, we never met in person. We talked on the phone. I mean, I had a good vibe. You went and did your thing, and I was like, wowed. I was really wowed. And like I said, because we're kind of the same cloth. We kind of have the same work ethic. We take pride in our work. We really want to serve the people we're working for. That, and we bring that into the game. And so it was just like an instant connection between us.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how I felt anyway.
That was so awesome. I agree. It was very fun working on that with you.
Yeah. And but I mean, I don't do hardly, I don't really do any deals anymore, but I'm just focused on mortgage. But as a real estate agent, and when I was a broker, I mean, I hardly did any transactions, but that one worked out great. So, well, thanks for joining us, guys and girls. I mean, it's just, we're so glad to be able to bring you content. And, if you want to net more money, just give Justine a call. And if there's ever anything I can do, Rob Aubrey with Aubrey Home Loans. We're known for, we close on time, we communicate effectively, and I follow up on your leads like green on a pickle. So there you go. That's what we're known for, right?
Thanks for having me, Rob.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for joining us, folks, and we'll see you on the next one.